Okay, so I'm reviewing for your Unit 4 Algebra 2 test tomorrow. This is part 4, and I'm going to review factor by grouping. So when we have 4 unlike terms and you're asked to factor by grouping, on your test it's going to ask you for a specific form. And the form is x squared plus a times x plus b. So they want you to factor this into this form, and they want you to tell what is the a and what is the b. So I have a very similar expression here that I'm going to show you the strategy that you can use when you take your test tomorrow. So make sure you write notes down and pause it, so that you can write down the details, rewind it, do whatever you need to do. Okay, I'm trying to keep the video short and not be too long-winded or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna take the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms, and we're gonna factor them separately. That's why they call it factor by grouping, because you're going to group the first 2 terms and you're going to group the second 2 terms to see if they have a common factor. And they will. If they didn't have a common factor, then this whole factor by grouping strategy would not work. It doesn't always work. Sometimes this technique, if the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms don't have a common factor, then you just probably can't factor it. Or I just don't know how. Okay. So, what can go into x cubed and 6x squared? Well, they both have x's, and x squared can go into x cubed, and x squared can go into 6x squared. So, x squared is the GCF. That's the common factor of these 2 terms. So, I'm going to factor out x squared, and then write the remaining factors in the parentheses. So now I have to think, it's like I'm going backwards, right? If I factor out the x squared, what needs to be in here that when I distribute, right, when I multiply by x squared, I will still get x cubed minus 6x squared. So let's start with x cubed. X squared times what? What do I have to multiply x squared by to get x cubed? I just need one more x. So x squared times x gives me x cubed, and x squared times minus 6 will give me minus 6x squared. Okay? All right. So now let's look at this next part. We have a minus 2x and we have a 12. So what's the GCF of these 2 terms? Well, we have a 2 and a 12. 2 could go into both. So we're going to factor out a minus 2, because I'm hoping that I get x minus 6 here again. You see how I got x minus 6 here? I want to get an x minus 6 here. So I'm going to factor out a negative 2 so that my x is positive, just like this one. So negative 2 times x will give me a minus 2x, and negative 2 times a plus 6, right? Because negative 2 times a positive 6 gives me, made a mistake. Negative 2 times a negative 6 gives me a positive 12. Negative times a negative is positive, and boom, look at that. I have my common factor. So this is good. This is a good sign. So we're going to rewrite this one more time. Right? My common factor is x minus 6. So this right here, I just write that, x minus 6. And x minus 6 times what? X minus 6 times x squared and x minus 6 times minus 2. Okay, these are my two factors where if I distributed this, I will get this. Okay, and the question asks you to factor by grouping and write it in the form x squared plus a times x plus b. And then they're going to say, what is a? Well, a is negative 2. And then over here, they're going to say, what is b? Well, b is whatever x is, you know what I'm saying? Negative 6. That's factor by grouping, ladies and gentlemen.